looks like we are rolling. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your buddy Jake Dominguez back with another movie review. And today I'm going to review Lady Bird. This has been one of the most acclaimed movies coming from 2017. I've been very excited to see it. I finally got to see it today. Here is my review. So Lady Bird is the solo directorial debut of Greta Gerwig. I think she co-directed another movie before, but this is her solo directorial debut and writing review. And it tells the story of a girl named Christine, or as she would rather be called, Lady Bird. That is the name she'd rather go by. And she lives in Sacramento, and she doesn't like it there at all. She's currently in high school, about to go through her senior year, and this is the movie that tells the story of her life. She fights with her mom all the time. She's trying to figure out who she wants to be and what she wants to make of her life. And she also really wants to go to college, especially if it's out of state, because she wants to get away from where she lives as badly as she possibly could. She wants to get out of this place, Sacramento, and that's basically the plot of this movie. Lady Bird is not necessarily a story-based film in terms of the plot. This is a movie about real life. It's a coming-of-age story about this teenage girl. It's basically like The 400 Blows or Boyhood, if you've seen those movies, but it's told through the perspective of a teenage girl, which, for whatever reason, we haven't seen very much of, which is a real shame. I think Lady Bird is a really wonderful movie. It is a great debut for Greta Gerwig, who's, I admit, I'm pretty unfamiliar with the rest of her work in the past, but man, this is a very well-written and well-directed film. It's funny, it's sad, it's really well done, and I really enjoyed it. In fact, I'll say this before I continue with the rest of my review. I really enjoyed this movie a lot, but I feel like I definitely need to see it again. Have you ever had that happen when you watch a movie? You watch it, and when it's all said and done, you just sit back in your chair and are just like, okay, I think the filmmaker is a little ahead of me on this, and I need to think about what I just watched. I need to see that again and think about it to really get what I want out of this movie. Because I know what I watched was very entertaining and very well done, but I don't know, this movie definitely wasn't what I expected, and I feel like I need to see it again now that I kind of know the rhythms that it goes on and that sort of thing. So, I almost hesitated to film this review because I feel like I might need to think about this movie a bit more to really express my thoughts on it, but I decided to record it right now. These are my thoughts. I know a lot of you wanted to see this review because this has been such an acclaimed movie. And for now, all I can say is I think this is a wonderful movie. I think it's great. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if my thoughts change as time goes on, as I ponder on it, and when I eventually watch it again. It's going to be interesting to see how that does, but for now, I'm going to film my initial reaction and say, this is a really darn good movie. This is a movie that feels very sincere. We've seen lots of coming-of-age movies before. It's practically a cliche. Lady Bird takes that genre of film and does it and takes it and kind of flips it on its head a little bit at times to make a very unique movie. This movie definitely feels like its own thing, even though we've seen coming-of-age movies before. It doesn't do the cliches that we kind of expect it to do. And when it does, it flips it so much where it totally feels like its own thing. So it feels sincere. It's incredibly emotional as well. I gotta say, about a third of the way into this movie, I had a really interesting thought. I thought to myself, I wish that Lady Bird came out in my senior year of high school. This is a movie that I wish I watched back then or was released back then, because I could definitely relate to Lady Bird in this movie and relate to the characters in this movie. I mean, my life was completely different from hers, and it's not like it's that comparable, but some of the feelings she has in this movie, I could definitely relate to, and I think tons of people who have gone through the trials of high school and trying to figure out what they want to do with their life will relate to this movie a lot, because it's so well written and so well made and so relatable. And I gotta say, it really just made me wish I saw it in high school, which I think is a great compliment. This movie has a great message about individuality, about being yourself, and that sort of thing. But we've heard that message a zillion times, and what Lady Bird does so incredibly well is that yes, it does have a message about being yourself. Be an individual. Don't be like what others want you to be. It does that incredibly well. But we also have a character who isn't really sure what herself is. Does that make sense? She's at a point in her life where she doesn't know who she is or who she wants to be. And we see her make different choices trying to figure out in this film. And even by the end of it, it does leave it to open to interpretation if she figures out or if she's still learning. Isn't that really what life is? Life, even after high school, we still go through some of those same trials and trying to figure out who we are and what we want to do with our lives and that sort of thing. And I thought that was a really awesome message. It's one thing to say be yourself, but it's another thing to tell that to someone at a point in their life when they're trying to figure out who they even are. I can definitely relate that. I know I felt like that in my senior year of high school. I still feel like that even at this point in my life. And that is a really powerful message that this movie does really well. All the acting is wonderful. Beanie Feldstein, I think that's how you pronounce it, is in this movie. She's wonderful. I haven't seen her in too much, but she's great in this film. Hedges is in this movie. He continues to really impress me with every movie he's in. He's great here. I wrote it down here. I have a little notebook where I always write my notes for a review. McKinley Henderson. He's been in lots of movies, and he's an incredibly underrated, awesome actor, and he's great in this movie. But of course, the person that steals the show is the actress who plays Lady Bird herself, Saoirse Ronan. Boy, did I really hope I pronounced that right. But this is the best role she's ever done, which is really saying something. Now, I've been a fan of hers for a long time. Like, I saw, but I really became a huge fan when I saw the 2011 film Hannah, directed by Joe Wright. I love that movie. I saw that movie in the theater. I think it's one of the most underrated movies, ever. She was incredible in Hannah. Go check that out if you haven't seen it, but ever since that movie, I've been a fan. At that point, I've seen her in a few things like The Lovely Bones or The City of Ember and that sort of thing. She was kind of introduced to the world in Joe Wright's other movie called Atonement, which is also an excellent film, but I didn't see that when it came out. I didn't see that until years later when I was older. And she is amazing in this movie. She continues to be in great film after great film. Movies like The Way Back or Brooklyn, which was one of my favorite movies of 2015, I think it came out. The Grand Budapest Hotel. She continues to be in great movies, and she is great in this film. It says a lot when you look at all those great films that I just mentioned, that this is her best role. But I think it is. She's just perfectly cast here. She's excellent. It feels like a real girl going through that period in her life. And like I said, I really related to her character. Or at least I can understand the emotions that she was feeling. But man, she is incredible in this movie. I continue to be impressed by every movie she does. Saoirse Ronan is at a point where if she's in a movie, I'm probably going to see it because she's in it. That's how awesome she is in everything she's doing. And she is incredible in this movie as well. And overall, guys, Lady Bird's a really wonderful movie. I think it's a great debut for Greta Gerwig, and I really enjoyed it. In terms of flaws, I only have a few little nitpicky kind of things, and like I said, I want to see this movie again, because maybe some of the flaws won't bother me as much. But they're all sort of nitpicky kind of things. I would say the biggest issue I have with this movie is also one of the things I actually really like about it, is in that Greta Gerwig does an interesting thing with this movie. This movie takes place over the course of, over a year, maybe, but it goes by just like that. And it's only about 90-ish minutes long. It's a pretty short movie, and it's exactly the length it needs to be. But there's tons of scenes that almost feel like they start in the middle of them. Does that make sense? And it ends right where, and so you always need to keep it paced with the movie, which I love. That is not a criticism, that's a compliment. I like the way the film is paced, the way it's basically moment after moment, rather than just scene after scene, if that makes sense. And I really enjoyed that. It always feels very autobiographical as well, even though Greta Gerwig has said that it's not so much semi-autobiographical, even though it is definitely based on our feelings at that point in my life, which really surprised me when I learned about that, because it definitely comes across that way. So that's some great writing and directing for you. Anyway, but I got off topic. There are some scenes, though, that I wish went on a little longer. There's a few times where I wish the movie could breathe just a bit more. And there's also one or two scenes that when I look back on the movie in my head, it makes me wonder, like, I wonder if that was really necessary in the grand scheme of things, even though I understand, again, that it's moment to moment. If I watch this movie again, it may not bother me as much, but for right now, I think Lady Bird's very good. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give Lady Bird a grade of an A-. I would really recommend this movie, guys. I think people are really going to love it. People have already loved it. This movie's already got a lot of acclaim and won some Golden Globes and stuff, but it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to see what this writer-director does next in her next movie. I'm definitely going to watch it. Well, guys, that's my thoughts on Lady Bird. What did you think of this movie? If you have some thoughts on it, please let me know down in the comments section below. I always read them. I love them. Please don't hesitate to do that. And please, if you could consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, it really does help. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support of my channel and for watching this video. It means the world to me. You guys are the greatest. Get prepared for more videos coming up very soon. And never forget, I'm your friend. I'm always going to be there for you. Thank you so much for being my friends as well. You guys are the greatest, and I will see you next time.